I think one of the hardest emotional realizations is understanding that sometimes your reaction is not about what is currently happening. Sometimes your reaction is about old ones. It's about something that has happened in the past. And the confusing part is sometimes it's you're feeling old ones. Sometimes it's their behavior and both of it are happening at the same time. So you don't know which is which. Like, why are you triggered? Is it their behavior that is triggering you or is it old ones that is triggering you? What are triggers? Triggers are usually not random. I actually don't think triggers are ever random. I think that, their emotional memories that are activated. You remember something like it feels like something. That's what is usually activated. And that's not random. That's something specific. Now, there could be like a case like a delayed reply, and that delayed reply doesn't look like a delayed reply. There's a delayed reply. Someone with someone that their nervous system associates inconsistency with abandonment, with unpredictability, with emotional instability. That kind of person in that moment is already going to, you abandoned me. Do you get? Like, you did not respond for maybe an hour later than you should, you have abandoned me. So is that proportionate? Not necessarily. So of course, the delayed reply might actually also be inconsistency on the part of the other person. And delayed reply could also just be a delayed reply. So that tension, that trigger, that thing that you now feel, that emotional reaction is coming from an old wound. So now if you feel sometimes it can feel like emotionally bigger than the situation. So that's how a delayed reply now becomes about abandonment. Do you get? It becomes a bigger situation, and your body reacts to familiarity faster than logic. It's not. It's not. You're not at that moment. You're not thinking logically. This could be this. This could be this. This could be this. In that moment, you're going to how do you feel in your body? Your triggers don't mean you're like emotional, like you're always feeling things. No, not necessarily. You're supposed to feel things. It's not like, oh, you're just too emotional. It is just those memories being activated in that moment. Why do certain people affect you more deeply than others? How and why? Not everyone triggers you the same. And why does this happen? It's because some people they activate a familiar emotional pattern, they activate like familiar instability, they activate like familiar longing, unpredictability. They activate certain parts of you. And sometimes it can affect you, sometimes because you care about this person because you care deeply about them. So they start affecting you. Be like, this is not me. Or generally, I might not actually feel this way. Or why does it, so certain times, because you do care deeply, because you do care deeply about that person, it's possible for them to actually activate, those familiar emotional patterns or instability and all those things. Now you're very, very sensitive because you're actually heavily invested. And the problem starts when the problem just goes crazy when attachment overrides, discernment, your understanding, what you understand overrides your standards. Familiar chaos starts feeling like emotionally magnetic. That's where the problem starts. When, you start overriding your standard, you start overriding discernment, you start overriding, what makes sense, what is real, what the reality is. So sometimes people feel familiar because emotional instability themselves is familiar. You would think that because emotional instability is instability, it doesn't feel familiar and it's just something you can actually lean into. But it is. If that's something you're used to, if that's something that you've seen, if that's something like really maybe from your childhood or from your past or from exes, it could actually feel familiar to you. So that could actually really actually create a trigger. It now brings to inconsistency. Inconsistency usually activates anxiety. It creates hypervigilance. It makes your nervous system start scanning everything. Tone changes, shifts in energy, distance, silence, unpredictability. Anxiety now starts creating like it's not trying to create problems. to be really honest. But it's trying to prevent emotional pain before it happens again. It's not starting to create any problems. It doesn't want to create any problems. That's the anxiety is not trying to stress you out. It's just trying to prevent you from emotional pain. So it's signaling, is this what's happening? Is that what's happening? Do you need to protect yourself? Do you need to fix yourself? Do you need to fix this? Do you need to get certainty? Do you need to know exactly what is happening in this moment? Do you need to clarify before you get hurt? So it's trying to actually prevent it before it happens again. And it wants certainty immediately, it wants to clarify before reality actually has revealed itself. So when someone is emotionally inconsistent, your nervous system never fully relaxes. You are emotionally alert. And emotional alertness is quite exhausting, like very, very exhausting when you actually feel like you have to always be on. So, and what does this now bring to you? So when you feel like, oh, inconsistency, when you know yourself, awareness, like, oh, inconsistency always triggers, or this person is triggering something inside me. I'm feeling this way. I'm feeling that way. I'm feeling anxious. You have to understand that you have to go to emotional safety. It brings about, you have to go to emotional safety. You have to go to a safe space so that you're not feeling that way. So emotional safety is what? What does emotional safety actually means? It means feeling grounded. It means feeling secure. It means that you're not feeling emotionally confused all the time. Like you're not confused. You're not feeling like what's happening. You don't know what's happening. Emotional safety is like you know where you stand. That's emotional safety. Emotional safety is there are clear answers when questions come up. Because sometimes, for sure, a lot of times questions come up. What is this? But there is a clear answer. When there is always a clear answer, that's emotional safety. When you can go to a clear answer, that's emotional safety. So safety is not about perfection. It's not like, oh, everything is perfect. And be careful. Safety is not also about constant reassurance. If they need to constantly reassure you, you're not emotionally safe. Emotional safety, they can create that environment for you. But emotional safety is you actually feeling that safety that, oh, I don't need constant reassurance. I know where I am. I know where I stand. I know I feel secure. I feel grounded. I have answers to things. I'm not emotionally confused at all. That's emotional safety. And you can handle difficult conversation. Emotional safety is when you have emotional safety, then you're steady. You're steady. You're not chaotic. You're not all over the place. You are actually very steady. So, and what the only thing that stresses you, you can handle difficult conversation. It's not like emotional safety doesn't mean you can't handle difficult conversation. You don't mind having hard conversation. What becomes exhausting, what stresses you is emotional instability. Is that instability that stresses you. That's the one that becomes very exhausting. So you have to go to safety. You have to go to feeling grounded. You have to stay at feeling grounded. You have to feel secure. You have to know where you stand. You have to not be emotionally confused all the time. You have to have clear answers, when they're there. So now, we've talked about this similarly before reactions and reality, anxiety versus reality, anxiety versus intuition. So now we'll talk about attachment, reactions versus reality. What's the difference? How do you know? Your intuition notices that there's something real happening, but then attachment fear comes in. Some people are anxious and attachment, some people are avoidant attachment. Attachment fear comes in, anxiety comes in, old wounds pop up, and you start building stories around them. Those are attachment reactions. When fear comes up, when anxiety comes up, when old wounds, you start feeling old emotional pain. When they pop up, and you start building stories around them. You start feeling like, oh, this is what this must mean. Oh, this is what this looks like. Oh, this is what's going to happen. Not real stuff. What you think, the stories you're writing, those are attachment reactions. The initial feeling may be accurate. You might feel like, this I've not heard from this person in a while. I'm just using just random go to examples. They always apply these things across your life, across things, if you actually relate to this feeling. So situations and scenarios will definitely differ. So this person has not responded to me. Da, 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 da. For real, this person should have responded all day. So your initial feeling may be accurate, but all the story that attaches to it, all the things that you now had to it, that's not, that spiral, it may not be accurate. Sometimes your intuition says something and your anxiety writes a story all around it. So it's very possible that that spiral after it, anxiety, that's not correct. So, but this is the truth. This is where it is. Not every trigger means you're emotional. Not every time is like, oh, you're emotional. No, it doesn't mean you're too being emotional or you're irrational. It doesn't mean you're irrational or you're imagining things. Sometimes, for real, people do create emotionally destabilizing environments sometimes. Some people actually create environments that instigates, that make you feel, that activate emotional instability. So sometimes, for real, it's not you, it's them. So that actually matters a lot. So you have to be able to identify, is this my old wound or is it them? So if it's yours, it's you, it's coming from you. If it's them, then it's them. So it's very, very important for you to know that actually some people do actually create for some reason or however it is they do that, but because they're of their own issues or whatever, they actually do create emotionally destabilizing, situations and environments around them. These environments often trigger other people, also trigger people that, have their own stuff going on too as well. So, and this is where accountability comes in for you as an individual. Your triggers are your responsibility, whether they are old ones or it's them. It's up to you to manage your reaction. So your reaction, your triggers, how you manage your triggers, that's definitely up to you. So, but this is the thing. As much as it's up to you to bring yourself to emotion, and how do you manage your triggers? You bring yourself to emotional safety. So as much as up to you to manage your triggers, now be clear. Let's be clear. Responsibility here does not mean tolerating instability. That's not what responsibility means here. It doesn't mean you have to tolerate instability. Oh, I'm being responsible. So since I understand what they're doing, right? Since I'm aware, I can take it. That's not what being responsible is. That's abandonment, actually. That's you actually abandoning yourself again. So that's not what responsibility means. It means it doesn't mean tolerating instability. It doesn't mean over understanding harmful behavior because you are aware, because you're emotionally intelligent, right? So I understand why they do what they do, but I understand why they do what they do. And you're the one at the receiving end. You're the one with the chaos. You're the one receiving chaos. You're the one destabilized. You're not responsible. That's abandonment. So, or staying grounded when people repeatedly destabilize you. You're staying grounded. Every time they destabilize you, you go to safety, but they keep triggering you, they keep destabilizing you. And staying in that space, that's not you being responsible. So responsibility is awareness, it's regulation. Responsibility is discernment, is your responsibility. You have to be able to discern. Responsibility is communication, healthy communication, not loading the person, not venting, not bashing. Healthy communication. That's your responsibility. Boundaries, setting boundaries, maintaining boundaries, running a strict program when it comes to your boundaries, you have to be strict. So your responsibility is also removing access when necessary, like removing access. If you need to actually remove access, do that. So healing is not, so people confuse that. They think because you're healing, so because you are aware, because your emotional awareness is off the roof, now you can make excuse and stay. That's not what healing is. Healing is not learning how to tolerate emotional confusion better. That's not what healing is. So you have to actually be sure what you're doing, and you have to actually put yourself, you have to actually care for yourself and also put yourself in emotional safety. So the goal is like, it's not like, oh, you never get triggered. Someone can trigger you, that's okay. It's not like, oh, you never want to be triggered, you never want to feel anxious, you never want to react emotionally. That's not what you're trying to do. That's not where your head is at. The goal is that you're understanding yourself deeply, deeply enough to separate, present reality from emotional memory. You understand yourself to know that, oh, what's this reality, what's happening, is this emotional memory, is this like a present reality? Because this that difference makes you can't you don't you don't walk through those things the same way. If it's old wounds, the way you actually regulate yourself it's different from the way you regulate yourself or you figure out yourself. If it is a present reality, without abandoning your standards in the process. You do not abandon your standards. So not every trigger is a sign to stay. Not every trigger is a sign to stay. And not every trigger is also a sign to run. Sometimes you're triggered, it might be your old wounds. Like I said, a delayed reply could be a delayed reply. And your trigger is sending you to abandonment. And that's not real. So realize that, oh, you are not supposed to run. You're supposed to work on that. You're supposed to figure that out. So you need to understand the differences when it comes to, you need to understand what happens within you. You're supposed to understand yourself, to separate present reality from emotional, memory, and do not abandon without abandoning your standards in the process. So if this resonates with you, if those conversations resonate with you, please stay with me. I'm dropping new episodes weekly. Thank you. Bye.